This review is a sort of continuation of a series of videos I'm doing right now in the Paper Mario series, so if you'd like to check out the other ones before or after this one, that'd be neat. It'll be on screen now at the end of this video and in the description. Anyways, let's address the elephant in the room before we address the actual elephant in the room.
This game, right here, is not the best game. Really, it's not the best game. That's really all there needs.
So, as we're all aware, there's been a lot of unwarranted hate for Color Splash. I say unwarranted because unlike the mob that this game has incited and all the dumb, whiny, entitled clickbait that followed from the reveal trailer, I've finally gotten around to completing it. As always, I intend to provide you with a fair look of Paper Mario Color Splash without the bias of being a fan of its perfect predecessors or anything else. Just a thorough analysis of the game by its own merits. So, how is Color Splash? Terrible, without any sign of redemption. Only kidding, there's a lot to enjoy in this particular game. But first, let's begin with the quality of the narrative the developers said would make you cry. So the plot kicks off on a dark and stormy night, a cliche I haven't seen in a while, as Peach and Paper Toad approach Mario's humble abode. However, Peach isn't bringing her peaches, if you know what I'm saying, but rather a rolled up colorless Paper Toad with a stamp on the letter pointing to Prism Island as the return address. In order to return the dull Toad, as it's most definitely not Mario's, Peach, Mario, and Toad head to the island. There, they quickly discover that the place they landed in, Port Prisma, is missing fragments of infrastructure and without any citizens inhabiting it. Once the Toad runs off to probably return the letter to its rightful place, the gang encounters Huey, essentially the Kurtzty or Tippy of this Paper Mario installment. Huey is actually quite an interesting character. Sure, he doesn't have the emotional impact of Tippy or Goombella's charm, but being the guardian of the Prism Fountain, he has some unique dialogue and development. At various points throughout the game, Huey gets some fun moments of characterization, but at the same time, there's so much missed potential. Like in one scene, Huey confesses to Mario that he'll keep him safe no matter what, but then chickens out after a giant Chomp rolls in. And after you escape from the enemy, you'd expect Huey to say something witty about the whole situation. But he makes one comment that's written without any traces of fear or expression and then tells Mario where to go next. Granted, the ending has a moment of an endearing soliloquy from Huey, and it's not like he's boring, but I wish the developers had gone the extra mile and done something more. Maybe I'm expecting too much out of the central characters in an RPG, but I digress. Anyways, once Huey joins the team, you encounter that important Toad getting sucked off of its colors by a slurp guy. I just don't even know what to say at this point. Let me say that again. Toad gets sucked by a slurp guy. But Toad doesn't seem to be a fan of this BJ, so Mario has to step in and fight off the Slurp guy and his crew of Shy Guys using battle cards, Huey's paint, and Mario's special hammer. Once the Slurp guy stops sucking, Toad is restored back to his colorful state, and Huey can finally give you your objective. For some odd reason, the Prisma Fountain's big paint stars have gone missing, which is a problem because they are the source of the island's colors, and without them, the world would be drab and dark. Kinda like Super Mario Sunshine. Actually, very similar to Super Mario Sunshine. Being the intrepid hero you are, you accept Huey's quest and venture forth to collect all the big paint stars to restore balance to the world. Along the way, you discover that Bowser has a role in the story, this time clad in black paint, and is causing doom for Prison Island. Thus, you'll have to take on him, the Goopalings, and Kamek, as you'd expect. Coming off of Paper Jam, this similar structure kinda irks me. Fighting all the Koopalings and then Bowser is such a tired concept and one that bogs down the creativity of the entire Mario franchise. See, the overabundance of toads don't even bother me too much. Throughout Color Splash, I felt like I was playing the same game I've played 1,000 times before, and this isn't just because it's Paper Mario. So many terribly tedious RPGs employ this same structure of dungeon crawling and then fighting a boss. If you're new to the RPG genre, I doubt you'll have the same problem of getting bored by the structure. For me, it's a bit too cliche at this point, which is something I could describe the entire narrative as, honestly. Nothing happens in Color Splash that subverts your expectations. The story goes through the motions, and you're along for the ride, which some people find satisfying, and if you're one of those people, more power to you. Plus, it's not like the overdone Koopalings are without some somewhat interesting character development that redeems some elements of the structure. Not to mention, dungeon crawling isn't the only thing you do in Color Splash, which is where the game really shines in my opinion. Traversing these beautiful landscapes can be really enjoyable. Exploring isn't too rewarding, but I'd be lying if I said I hated hitting elements of the world with my paint hammer and watching myself make progress in restoring the Prism Island. Aside from the main crew, other characters like the Rescue Squad or Toads help breathe life into this world, which kept me playing. What propels my immersion even further into this game is the tremendously good writing I alluded to earlier. Color Splash constantly makes references to pop culture, like with Watergate, the ESRB, and the Luigi death stare, while also often breaking the fourth wall. These moments are the backbone of Color Splash. The dialogue is what elevates the game from decent to good in my eyes. Saying any more and giving any more examples would spoil your experience, so I'll refrain from doing that for now. Looking past the plot, the presentation is easily one of my favorite aspects of this title. The worlds are masterfully detailed with this paint and paper aesthetic that feels so welcoming and warm. Everything is colorful and well textured. You'd be a fool not to acknowledge the sheer greatness that Color Splash's visuals are. From the beaches, to the hub area, to the mesa, to the obligatory ice level. All the environments are diverse and a joy to discover and gawk at. While there is an abundance of toads that aren't too visually different from one another, the worlds and the assortment of enemies kind of make up for it. The soundtrack is equally as brilliant. The mix of electronica and orchestral instruments blend together seamlessly, making Color Splash have some of the catchiest tunes in any Paper Mario game. I especially love the emphasis on jazz rhythms, trumpets, and saxophones, mostly because I play the trumpet in a lot of jazz ensembles. A man's gotta have jazz, and Color Splash delivers in that regard. Even the battle theme, which I expected to grow old, still hasn't yet. This music's catchy as hell. Please listen to some of the tracks and let me know how you feel. Personally, I'm really digging a lot of them. And finally, we come to debatably the most controversial part of Color Splash, the gameplay. So, I'd just like to give my verdict before we begin. It sucks, because it isn't Paper Mario. That's it, that's the end of my review. But as always, if you disagree or agree with me, let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching and take care. Okay, I'm sorry, but as you probably noticed, Color Splash is only similar to the formula established in Paper Mario 64 with regard to the overworld. Exploration is as essential as the combat is because you need to explore to get paint for your battle cards, which are needed to fight off enemies. Also, the worlds are filled with platforming challenges, puzzles, and character quests, so it's not like it's boring to play Color Splash. Every world has some different element, style, and layout of quests and features, so the overworld is fairly exciting. While the gamepad inclusion does seem a bit gimmicky, that's really my only gripe with the field. I can see some people complaining that the locations don't feel too distinct as they do follow the traditional Mario structure of worlds, but they never really bothered me. At least there aren't many instances of having to use things to solve cryptic puzzles like in Sticker Star. And hey, look at that, you can use the flip technique in a nostalgia-pandering Super Mario Bros. 3 level. That's actually kinda cool. I'm not trying to sound sarcastic here, I legitimately think that's cool. What isn't that cool is the battling system, which isn't bad because it isn't the same as the combat in the first two games. It's flawed in its usage of the battle cards that run out of paint and have to be discarded after a while. That's how you attack, heal, and summon allies in Color Splash. You don't learn moves like in a traditional RPG. You have to use cards that are limited in uses and how much paint you have. Let me pose a question to you, audience. Does anybody like using cards to battle in an RPG? I hated it in Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, and I don't like having to acquire more cards through exploration or by the shop. It just adds unnecessary tedium, which, again, is not the result of not following in the footsteps of TTYD or Paper Mario 64. This is plainly a feature that I feel should have been done away with and replaced with something else. Anything else that doesn't force you to keep restocking on cards. A way to improve this would simply just always having the cards be on you no matter what, with the amount of paint you have on you, limiting what you can and cannot do. I feel like the gameplay would have been improved significantly by fixing this one flaw. Putting aside this huge fundamental combat criticism, battles can be sometimes fun and challenging, especially the boss fights. Also, the attacking animations are a joy to watch, which does take away some of the monotony of the combat. Overall, Paper Mario Color Splash is a good time, but not without its issues of plot cliches and minimal character development, an experimental yet mediocre combat system, and a lack of an engrossing goal. By the same token, Color Splash has a lot of enjoyable elements, like the stellar presentation, entertaining exploration, and lighthearted dialogue and story. I didn't hate my time with Color Splash, and I didn't love it either. I didn't feel like I wasted my time playing it, nor did I feel like it was worth my time. It's still good, and I'm sure people could find some enjoyment out of it, but to me, it's plainly decent. However, is it worth the full retail price of $60? I'd have to say no, but this is something I definitely recommend waiting for a price drop or sale for. Anything below $60 and I imagine you'd probably get your money's worth. If you're hell-bent on trying it out, don't let me stop you. But as always, if you disagree or agree with me, let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching and take care. Have a wonderful day and goodbye.